Hey guys, good afternoon. Hopefully y'all can hear me okay. Let me go check and see here on YouTube. Let me make sure the chat and everything's working okay. What's up, you guys? I'm just gonna do this video real quick because it's easier to do this live sometimes. What's up, One Proud Grandma? What's up, Shamira Clark? How are y'all doing? Y'all good? All right, so this video will be about R. Kelly. R. Kelly and the crazy federal charges that he has had thrown on his ass, you guys. Hey guys, I see y'all coming into the room. So much going on, I know. Oh, I missed you too, One Proud. Hey, Distinctly Dree. Boy, has your name been ringing. You got caught up in all that stuff last week. I'm real sorry about that. Hey Monica, hey KB, hey Keisha. The ish hit the fan. Is there more going on, One Proud Grandma, than this R. Kelly stuff that I don't know about? Because I'm just now getting back in from the Bahamas. So I will be on Instagram if you want to come my way and let me know what the hell's going on. Hey Leah, what's up, babe? I'm home. Can you tell I'm a little refreshed? I'm a little refreshed, and I definitely do have a little bit of sunburn. You have some exclusive info coming. Ooh, I love exclusive info. All right. Thank you, Lillian. I'm good. It's good to be back. It's good to be back. Chupacabra, what's up? All right, guys. So let's talk about this R. Kelly, this whole R. Kelly situation, right? So sitting in my room. Let's see. Leak, yeah, I was lied on by habitual liar, the norm. I'm so sorry, Dree. It should not be normal. It really should not be normal. So let's get to this. So I'm in my room after, getting off the cruise, relaxing about 1 o'clock this morning. And I get wind and word that R. Kelly got arrested. But it wasn't just any arrest. Federale swooped in on his ass all the way from New York. They swooped in on him in Chicago to arrest him on federal charges while he was walking his dog. And so I know many of you have probably been in a lot of live streams today. Everybody wants to be number one, right? Everybody wants to be first in reporting this. Hey, Sassy. Hey, Nikki. So yeah, I seen a lot of people going live last night to talk about this, but it's really hard to go live and talk about something that's just happening. You don't really have a lot of details. You don't have a lot of information. So I'm the type of person, I kind of like to sit back and watch things develop for, a little bit before I start talking about whatever it might be. Just like this whole Nature Boy thing. I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with Nature Boy. When I tell you I've been watching so many videos with that whole situation, wow. Just wow. And that's going to be another interesting case in the making. So let's talk about this whole R. Kelly. So how many of you guys are old enough to remember the first charges that R. Kelly had placed on him? What was it, 10 or 15 years ago? Were you guys like in your 20s whenever those original first charges were laid down on R. Kelly's ass many, many years ago? And I think many people can say that they watched R. Kelly get away with sex crimes all those years ago. I remember when he got acquitted the first time, when he got acquitted. Well, I should say the first and only time he's ever, been acquitted. I think he had like 5 or 6 different charges on him, maybe even more than that. And he literally walked away. Now, keep in mind, the crazy thing about this, dude had a tape. There were actually multiple tapes, and people were selling these tapes on street corners. It was during the time, I don't know how many of you guys will know this, but Morpheus, it was an app where you would do sharing of files. It was like, it's kind of almost like torrents in a way of what we use now versus things where you used to, hey, Jalen, where you used to literally grab 8 charges. Street, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. You would actually grab files and literally stream these files in bits. And I remember this sex tape was being shared on Morpheus and other platforms that did file sharing. It was all over the place. Like if people wanted to see that sex tape, they could have watched it. Oh, it's nice to have you here. We're going to talk about R. Kelly. I see you, Gemini. She's like, ooh, it's the truth, right? So this sex tape was not only available on street corners where people were selling them for like 20 bucks. It was available on the internet if you knew how to do file sharing. So will I admit that I seen some portions of the tape? Yeah, I'll admit that I seen some portions of the tape, enough to know that R. Kelly was in that tape. Enough to say to myself that, my God, I will never buy his music ever again in my life. And then when he got away with it and he was acquitted, I was young too. I think someone in here just said they were 19 years old when he was first arrested. God, how old was I then? I know I was in like late teens, early 20s, but I was old enough to know that I couldn't support somebody like that. And so, hey, Blue, what's up, baby? So I absolutely, well, Nikki's Fitness, if you never, or if any of you guys else have never seen even a portion of the tape, I've not seen the whole thing because I could not bring myself to watch that. It still was a wake-up call for so many. And the fact that he was able to get acquitted on those charges, and he was on tape and was able to literally convince a jury that the tape may have been doctored with like a form of video Photoshop, which really didn't even exist back in those days. Hey, Barika, it was insane. And I was a little angry about that. I won't lie, because it was people my age and younger that were getting caught up in his web. There's so many people that I've seen in the Surviving R. Kelly documentary that I remember from before. The same girl that literally was on the tape, I remember hearing stories about that girl's family living in Europe at one point. R. Kelly was financing their lifestyle. He got them off the United States, got him out of the United States, got him over to another country where they could not even be extradited. And 2001, let me see, hold on, let me think. Well, I've already told you I'm 41. So 2001, wow, that was almost 20 years ago, almost. So I was, yeah, early 20s. I was about 20 or 21 years old. So I remember this very well. I remember this very well. And I remember how that little girl's family, I mean, just, I remember even my mother-in-law, when she was alive back in those days, was so shocked about R. Kelly's, arrest. And a lot of people did not want to believe that it was him. A lot of people, just like Tupac's still alive, R. Kelly, that's not him on the video. But it was him. It was him. Hey, Centel, baby, what's up? So today, or yesterday, I should say this morning and into today, is a big day, right? For those of us who maybe have sat back for the last, 19, 18, 19, 20 years and watched this man get away with sex crimes. And it seems like to me, even back then, I knew R. Kelly had a problem. And I'm seeing a lot of people wanting to throw out sadness for him. They want to be sad for him. They, want to say things, they want to have compassion for him and his issues or whatever. And I understand all that, but that should have been addressed 20 years ago. Unfortunately, now, because 20 years have passed and he not only kept on performing sex crimes, allegedly, right? Now that New York has swept his ass up, y'all can forget it. You can forget it. Y'all ever heard the saying that if the Eastern District of New York ever comes knocking, they already have more than enough evidence to lock you up? Have any of y'all ever heard that saying before? Because I've heard it several times. Anytime you hear the Eastern District of New York, ears should perk up. You should already know that it's some serious shit. You know who prosecutes in the Eastern District of New York? The types of people that get prosecuted? Usually it's a federal crime. People like John Gotti. People like Jeffrey Epstein, which is another pedophile that was picked up this past week. It's like pedophile busted in. And as Gemini the Queen says, they do have a 95% conviction rate. Remember that saying that I said? The Eastern District of New York only comes if they know they have more than enough evidence to lock your ass up. You all, they don't even want to let dude out for bail. They don't even want R. Kelly coming out for bail. Okay. And I'm just kind of looking through your comments. And then Leah, my road dog, she absolutely talks about something I think we should touch on. He married a 15-year-old girl, Aaliyah. Think about that. Think about that. Aaliyah was maybe a year older than me, maybe. I'm not sure. We was right around the same age. And I remember when R. Kelly brought her on the scene. I had heard of her before R. Kelly got involved, but when R. Kelly got involved, her music did start blowing up. I'll give him that. I already see the R. Kelly lovers are coming into the room already. Cece, I don't think he deserves bail. Come on. He's never been convicted of a crime. He thinks he's above the law, straight up. He really does. Dude's been, think about it. He got acquitted, right? You know, all those years ago. He goes out and he commits more crimes on other women, allegedly. But we've heard quite a lot of evidence over the last couple of years. I'm just saying, is it really so hard of a leap to think that he got away with his sex crimes in the past, and now, being the fact he was not stopped, he was not stopped from continuing to do those things and went free, his sexual appetite only enlarged and got bigger and nastier and grimier. I'm just saying. And then we know he married Aaliyah, who was 15 years old. That's in black and white. That is on paper. What excuse, even back in those days, and I say those days, when I was young like her, to have been 15, being married to, what was he, 27 or 28 at the time, my mom would have had a stroke. Even back then, that was not normal. It was not normal for 15-year-olds to be marrying a grown-ass man. I'm sorry, but not sorry. I understand that arrests are not convictions. I understand that. I don't agree with you, CC. And, you know, be very careful. Seriously. What's up, sweet mom? We are talking about R. Kelly. I don't give a damn, CC, that he's not on trial for Aaliyah. All of these things matter, and all of these things factor into why he's about to be RICO'd up in New York, okay? So if you want to stay blind and continue to stay blind like that for him, that's on you, baby. That is on you. But there's a lot of people that are woke right now with R. Kelly and all his drama, okay? So this is probably not going to be the right chat room for you. I'm just saying. So how many of you guys in here are like 40 and remember R. Kelly and Aaliyah when you were teenagers coming up? I remember I had my first kid listening to Aaliyah's music, man. I had my first kid very young. And I just thought it was, at first I didn't think it was really weird that R. Kelly had this relationship with her. I thought he was doing it for the business, for the music aspect of it. But then when I heard that he had married Aaliyah, it crossed the line to being sick. And I was like, what is R. Kelly doing? What is he doing? You know, I had a lot of respect for Aaliyah. Like I said, that we were around the same age. So I want to say, speaking on that, I have seen somebody else who's claiming to be first in breaking the story, right? Which no one gives a damn about any of that. Who put in a title on their YouTube video that Aaliyah's mother and Aaliyah had threesomes with R. Kelly. She put this in a title on one of her videos. I have not seen any proof of that yet. Even with the R. Kelly documentary, there was talk about him having sex with the mother, but never a threesome. So I don't know why that was put out there. I really don't. But there's people that have a really bad habit of bragging and making grandiose statements and putting grandiose titles and shit like that on their videos just to get a click. So Leah says, I thought it was disgusting then, and it is now. It is disgusting. Back in those days, it was almost whenever I think a lot of people found out that Aaliyah had married him, the first thing that people started thinking was, where's her mother? Where's her father? Everybody knew Aaliyah's mother and father were very much involved in her life, right? And the thought that R. Kelly could get up under their noses and marry that little girl just surprised so many people. It really, really did. Um, what seems like fake news? Oh, yes. Sneak listening, sweet Ma. We love you, babe. So I want to, have you guys seen the video that just came out? I'm pretty sure all of you guys have been staying on this, where the Savages met Daryl, the guy who he's like a real kind of greasy type of dude, and he's been doing public service for R. Kelly, like public the news conferences. His name is Daryl, right? So he decides he's going to prance his little ass out there and do a news conference today in Atlanta to talk about how R. Kelly was literally the New York federales swept in on his ass from New York, picked him up in Chicago while he was walking his dog. Means they were watching him. They didn't want to get him while the girls were around him, so they literally swept in on his ass while he was out there alone walking his dog. Let's see here. Hold on a sec. Barika says, LeakYou, her mom's sexing R. Kelly could be true. He only paid her $100 for the divorce. The mom owns all of R. Kelly's early catalogs. He's not making a dime off his old classic hits. Your boss keeps coming past you and you're clicking off the screen, sweet Ma. You need to get like a black screen thing. I've got one at work, but my job paid for it too. Hey, Tammy, it's good to have you. Oh, and Amir gets his braces on Monday. Oh, I know that makes you happy. As far as Barika, what you were saying, I hear you. I mean, it's not the possibility that he could have had sex with Aaliyah's mom. It's the thing that one of our unfavorite bloggers put in her title, where she claimed that Aaliyah and her mother had sex together with R. Kelly at one time. That I'm like, why is that up? Like, I have took the time to go back and try to validate this and verify this, and I've not yet been able to I even took the time to watch that portion of the Surviving R. Kelly docuseries when Aaliyah's mother was spoken of, and that's just not the story told on that docuseries. So that I have a bit of a problem with. Thank you. I'll tell you, being in the Bahamas a couple of days will do that to you. I absolutely did get a bit of a sunburn. I hear you distinctly, Dree. I don't believe that's real either. I don't think that she had sex with her daughter and R. Kelly at one time. And that is a title that I will just say it, that Tasha K has on one of her videos that I have taken the time to try to debunk. And I've not been able to find any evidence that R. Kelly and laid down with Aaliyah and her mother at one time and had sex with them at the same time. And that's what Tasha K wanted us to believe. But yet she wants to be the first one to claim that she got a scoop, right? Whatever. So anyway, let me show you guys this. I want to bring up the page here for TMZ. And let me bring this up really quick. And I'm going to show you guys this video that came out maybe a few hours ago. You guys might have seen it. I'm not sure. But Timothy Savage, we all know who he is. Jocelyn Savage's father went loco in a news conference. Asking Daryl, the guy I was telling you about, where is my daughter? Where is my daughter? Give me just a second here. Let me scroll this down. I'm on my mother's laptop, so. So this is actually, yeah, so you can see this story is literally growing in real time, because I was just looking at this page and they hadn't even had this updated, but I want to find the information they had here. So I guess our TMZ is going to go live here and talk about this. But y'all remember when he was accused of paying off that family in the 2008 trial the family I was telling you about that literally went over to Europe with their daughter, with their son. Like they had, you remember that song, I Won't Cry? I don't know how many of y'all actually remember that. Man, all right. Cece, this isn't about Charlie Sheen, and this ain't about, thank you, Leah. Thank you. If that person comes back, feel free to block them out. Maybe they need a little break today. Because this damn sure ain't about no Rkelly or none of that other stuff. All right, so you guys see here. Let me start here at the bottom. Let me show you guys here. Now, I'm going to talk about the Mann Act here in a minute. The Mann Act was an act that was started back in like 1910 that was created for it's called the Slave Trade Act, right? When you would bring a slave into your home and do debauchery, as they say. It was actually created, and there's only been a few prosecutions under the Mann Act. So this was, just the information that Rkelly was arrested on multiple federal sex crimes in 2 states, being New York and Chicago. And we get more details on the 13-count indictment out of the Northern District of Illinois, meaning a state attorney is on this. The U.S. Attorney's Office of the Northern District says the indictment includes charges of child porn, enticement of a minor, and obstruction of justice. He was arrested in Chicago while walking his dog. Oh, when I seen that, I was like, dang. So they actually were watching him. And then you know what I thought about? I thought about that picture that's been on Instagram. And I don't know who the hell runs that Instagram site, but there's a couple of Instagram pages that be dropping some gems on Instagram. They had a picture of dude's bedroom. I guess they call it the black room. And they had a picture of this dude's bedroom. And you could tell, like, this dude has been living rich. He's been living with all that money. Like, nothing is ever going to happen to him. And to have all of this happen, I could just imagine what his world is like right now. We've seen how crazy he got with Gayle King, right? Now, I mean, it didn't take them feds long to come on in. Seriously. Now, they're going to arraign him in Illinois and then take him up to New York, where he will face a judge in that case. When I tell you guys he's not facing years, he's facing decades in prison right now. Like, years was a wonderful, wonderful sentiment probably yesterday. Now, dude is facing decades. They're talking about he's going to get RICO'd up. Now, remember, he just in June got arrested on additional felony charges by the state where he pled not guilty. It was 11 felonies, actually. But obviously, to me, it seems like maybe the federales don't trust the state. Would that be so uncommon? Look at the Jussie Smollett case. Look at Chicago altogether. The Barack Obama, the seat being sold, the government seat being sold. There's been a lot of corrupt mayors, a lot of corruption in Chicago. So I'm honestly not surprised that the federales came and swooped in on his ass. I'm not going to go into any detail right now about like the actual allegations, but you all know it's forcing contact with minors, basically with minors. And a lot of us in this room right now could have children that age. And I mean, we would not be happy about that. I see, let's see here. Yes, I think there has been a lot of clout chasing in this case, Sweet Ma, I do. But at the same time, I don't think it necessarily started off like that. I don't believe it started off like that. But it's kind of, they're going to be famous now. No question about that. They're absolutely going to be famous. Now, let's, the 5-count federal indictment, which is out of what? The Eastern District of New York. They include racketeering and several violations of the Mann Act, including allegations of forced labor. That is key to the Mann Act. It says, according to the indictment, Kelly and others engaged in a scheme. You've seen that, right? Kelly and others. Do we have some enablers that are going to get arrested here? They engaged in a scheme to coerce minors to participate in sexually explicit acts on camera. The feds say the purpose of the scheme was to promote R. Kelly's music and the R. Kelly brand, and to recruit women and girls to engage in illegal sexual activity with Kelly. It says that federal prosecutors are saying that Kelly and his crew traveled throughout the United States and abroad to recruit these women and girls, y'all. Like, damn. Hey, Leanne. The new federal indictment seems to validate the claims of parents who say their children were held hostage. The indictment says the women and girls were not permitted to leave their room without receiving permission from Kelly, including to eat or go to the bathroom. They were also prohibited from looking at other men and to keep their heads down and call him daddy. The feds also say Kelly made threats of force and physically restrained the women to obtain their labor and services. And in at least one of these cases, he allegedly took a minor to California, committed rape, abduction, carnal abuse of a child, and seduction. Kelly also allegedly exposed at least one minor victim to an infectious venereal disease. Man, when I tell you we're getting the goods of their case, but we're not getting all of it. And then it says violations of the Mann Act, which prohibits the transportation of anyone across state lines for illicit sexual purposes, constitute 4 of the 5 counts against Kelly, against R. Kelly. Now, real quick, I just want to show you guys this video, right? Remember Tim Savage? A lot of you guys would call him a clout chaser. I think they're really ingrained right into watching a lot of the YouTubers as well do their videos. I think that Tim Savage and his entire family have also had a YouTube channel. But you know, what do you do, right? And when you're dealing with a situation like this. So this is like the newest update from this morning, where federal prosecutors in Brooklyn want to make sure that R. Kelly remains behind bars until trial. So they actually wrote a letter to the federal judge. They're saying that R. Kelly is a significant flight risk, and his decades-long criminal history makes it clear he's a danger to the community. They also fear he will obstruct justice and threaten and intimidate potential witnesses. Now, I thought it really interesting when Daryl Johnson, y'all remember, what's his name? Ricky Smiley. He's got that skit with that boy Daryl. That boy Daryl. That's what I think about every time I see this cat, man. The fact that he could come on and defend R. Kelly so nonchalant and so strongly, he's just disgusting to me. So he held this news conference today, this morning, and it wasn't even a few seconds after he started that Jocelyn Savage's parents was on his butt. Like, they didn't want to hear none of that stuff he was talking about, anything. So I'm going to play this really quick. This is a shout out, by the way. Hold on, let me see if I can figure out how to. He makes me sick. I wouldn't even want to speak to him. She asked him, "Are you concerned you could face charges?" Can't hear him. God only knows my mom's got going on here on this laptop. You can't hear it? Okay. Needless to say, Dude is talking about how he's not an enabler, right? And it is kind of low volume on that particular video. Let me see if they have it up here. They had a section, but that is an interesting conference, right? Because they're literally saying to Daryl, are you afraid that you're going to be, arrested for enabling R. Kelly? He's like, oh no, I wouldn't be arrested. Why would I be arrested? I'm not an enabler. I work for so and so and so and so, that Mr. Greenberg, which is the lawyer for R. Kelly out of Chicago for his state charges. I can guarantee you that Mr. Greenberg can't help him with these federal charges. Real talk. Oh, what is this information? One proud former manager Daryl McDavid and employees Milton June Brown have also been indicted in Chicago on allegations to help Kelly pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to recover the kiddie porn tapes. Real talk. What? Send me a link to that article. One proud. Wow. But we've all been saying, right, that the enablers would end up being arrested for this, and there's been a lot of people that have enabled R. Kelly. A lot of people that have enabled R. Kelly. Let's see if this video is any better. Nah, it's not any better. He was like, basically, he's been arrested. It's the same charges from a decade ago. And it's like, at this point, nobody's trying to hear nothing you're talking about. Seriously, no one wants to hear any of that shit. He sounds like a broke ass record. Um, and that's real talk. I wouldn't even want that dude representing my interests, especially right now. Um, I hate saying this, Blue. I hate saying this about our people, but he looks shady as fuck. He looks like as long as Kells keeps his dreads laid, he ain't saying nothing. He does. He does. You want to know when the charges are going to drop on those enablers, Laverne? I hear you. I think this will be a very, very interesting case. If this is true, what One Proud Grandma has put in my chat, saying that former manager Daryl McDavid and employees Milton June Brown have also been indicted in Chicago on allegations to help Kelly pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to recover kiddie porn tapes. I know that he has sent a lot of people out to pay and recover these tapes that have somehow made their way into the world. They even talked about how some of these tapes were VHS tapes. So these go back to like when I was a teenager type shit. Dude's been doing this for a long, long time. He is sick. R. Kelly is a very sick man. And, the opportunity to have stopped R. Kelly and to put up all this care into R. Kelly, like this, whoever this CC person that was trying to, to whatever for him, whatever you want to call it. It's so obvious that you all should have put all that care into R. Kelly almost 20 years ago when he got acquitted that first time. That was the time to jump in and to help R. Kelly with himself. Dude had a serious problem going all the way back then. The fact that nobody interjected and helped R. Kelly with, whether you want to call it a medical problem that he's got, a sexual problem that he's got, it's now too big for him even. It's out of his control. He has no control over the consequences that are going to come down for this. None. He has damaged a lot of people. He has put a lot of damage out there. He is a predator. Seriously, he is a predator. Leah, that's right. He is a predator. And I don't care what color he is either. He is disgusting. And for anybody who wants to have like all this compassion for him and all that, where was all that 18, 19 years ago when he got acquitted the first time? When there was a tape as plain as day with dude on it, and the dude walked. He was able, under everyone's noses while we were all watching, he was able to literally take an entire family, put them over in another country, paid their bills for them. And people knew about it. I knew about it back then. This dude literally dragged that trial out like 5 or 6 years. It took forever. And there was one person, James Derogatis or Jim Derogatis. something. He's a reporter up in Chicago. Dude has did so many articles on R. Kelly, even going back many, many, many years ago when the internet was first coming about with, you know, the Chicago Sun Tribune or whatever, even having a website before they even made you pay to come on their website. That guy, Derogatus, did so many articles in depth on R. Kelly. So where was all that compassion then? I mean, I really, no, he's not gonna, there's no break that needs to be caught at this point. Dude has caused a lot of damage. And it is what it is. He's gonna have to deal with the consequence of his actions. That's just life. That's reality. So, do I believe that he's, you know, has an issue, a sickness? Yeah, probably does. But this dude has been a predator for how many decades now? Seriously. I was in my teens and 20s hearing about this shit with R. Kelly. Dude has been a predator for 2-3 decades, maybe. And Blue, Blue, Blue says he made all of us guilty of watching child porn, sick bastard. um, and I know what she's saying when she says that, because I did see a portion of the tape. I'm not even going to sit here and lie. I didn't watch the whole thing. I just seen like the very first portion of it, enough to know that that was his ass. That was him. He tried to claim it was his brother, remember? He tried to literally put his brother under the bus. Rkelly. He literally tried to do that to that man, trying to get that man to take the fall for him. Um, R. Kelly had no intentions of facing the madness with any of this. Could he have faced his charges back then, got a little sentence, went to a, you know, medical facility and did, you know, a year or two and gotten out and continued singing? Probably so, but not now. Not now. Now you've got people getting swept up in these big ass busts like Jeffrey Epstein, billionaire, who wants what is it? He wants to go home to his $77 million mansion where he can you know, sit his time out there while he waits trial. Are you kidding me? No. I don't think so. You've got him, you've got R. Kelly now. Who else? Who else is going to get caught up? Real talk. Do we have any other famous people that are going to get caught up? When I tell you guys, I heard a couple of names the other day that said these people were pedophiles. I was like, no way. And I'm not going to repeat that because none of these have been, you know, none of these people have been charged with anything. And I just don't, you know, I don't think it's right to try to, that tarnishes someone's name. Even just saying something as a blogger, you can tarnish someone's name. And we have to be very, very careful with the information that we put out there. So, but you know how you feel like when there's a madness going on and people swoop in? It's almost kind of like what I'm seeing now with these people that love young girls. They're finally getting caught up in all of this madness that's going on. And it is what it is. I mean, it is like karma, really, right? Don't we always say karma's a bitch and that bitch will find you? It's R. Kelly's day today. So there's no reason for anyone to like continue to try to defend this dude. I know that he has a lot of trolls on the internet. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen a lot of people come in and try to defend R. Kelly on YouTube live streams, on Instagram. Some of these people, I know a lot of these people aren't even paid to do it. They do it because they love R. Kelly so much. They do it because, I mean, look at the lady that paid his bail for him to get out of jail, guys. What woman in your right mind would any of y'all women, okay, pay another man's fucking child support? Seriously. Come on. Come on. That's really like the big news of it all. But I do want to talk about the Mann Act really quick, and then I want to get to some of your comments and stuff. I'm seeing a lot of good comments in the stream here. But I want to talk about the Mann Act real quick and how not many people have been prosecuted under the Mann Act. R. Kelly has two charges, count 4 and count 5, that have been charged under the Mann Act. And I want to kind of share this knowledge with you guys on what the Mann Act is. We've only had a few people charged under the Mann Act. It's really reserved for like your sickest type pedophiles. seriously. And then I'm going to get to some of y'all's comments. I know, and before I leave and do that, I want to say, so Distinctly Dre says, Jim DeRogatis is the journalist. She's been following his work for years and read his book about R. Kelly. He's probably one of the best sources to follow. He has been around for well over 20 years that I know of. I remember reading his articles back in the 90s he was a reporter for the Chicago Tribune. And when I tell you, dude has been on R. Kelly's ass for decades. He actually, if there's anyone that deserves like a journalistic type of medal of some type, he would be one. He would be someone I would look at like who absolutely deserves some sort of journalistic, I don't know, some kind of journalistic medal or he deserves some recognition for what he's done in this case. He has been one of the main people that have put so much information out there about R. Kelly. Remember all the stories about R. Kelly going to the school, picking up teenagers at high school when he was first out, with Honey Love and, his first CD, R. Kelly and the whatever. They had a band or whatever. And Blues brings up a good point. She says in the 90s, rape culture was the norm. A lot of women/girls were being taken advantage of just because men/boys got away with it. Now that's a fact. How many of you women in here can say that in the 90s, dudes targeted you when you were 14 or 15 years old and they were grown as hell and wanted to have sex with you? I can raise my hand. Many, a lot. And especially in the little town I grew up in, so many older men would try to sleep with me as a teenager. And I never, ever got down like that. I can actually say I'm not a promiscuous person. I never have been. And I remember that clearly. Matter of fact, and I'll get to the Mann Act after this. I remember a guy who was like in his 40s. He tried to befriend my mother. And he did a lot of like cattle wrestling and stuff like that down in the country. And, he tried to befriend my parents, my mother and my father. This dude, maybe about a year after meeting us when we first had moved to the country, this dude was screwing a 14-year-old, her 12-year-old sister, and their mother. That's how sick these fuckers get. That's how sick they get. That chick Chanel, hey, it's good to see you. She says, I can't listen to his music the same. I refuse to listen to it. I have friends that was 15 and 16 back in the 90s having kids by men in their late 20s, early 30s. I had my first kid young, but my first kid was not by a grown man. The person I had my kid with was just as young as I was. It's crazy. Now let's talk about this Mann Act. This is important. Let me share this out to you guys really quick. The Mann Act there's been a couple of iterations of this act, right? Now I have to give Tasha K a little credit here. I won't lie. She was the first person I heard speak Mann Act. Do I think it's right for her to come on and claim I got claimed first and all that type of shit? No, because you're not really first if you're not reporting what's happening, right? All you did was just speak out a bunch of possibilities. And so, yes, I did hear of Mann Act from her, but that's about it. I haven't seen her really reporting on this stuff, right? So let's bring this up, the Mann Act. This is actually a very interesting act, right? They call it the White Slave Traffic Act of 1910. It is known as that. It was passed, as a federal law, and it was named after Congressman James Robert Mann out of, guess what? Illinois. So if anybody's familiar with the Mann Act, it's going to be Native people in Illinois. Chicago. It is the original form. In its original form, the act made it a felony to engage in interstate or foreign commerce transport. That means to transport any woman or girl for the purpose of prostitution or debauchery or any other immoral purpose. Its primary stated intent was to address prostitution, immorality, human trafficking, particularly where trafficking was for the purposes of prostitution. Is this starting to fit in for you guys? This is one of several acts of protective legislation aimed at moral reform during the Progressive Era. How many of you guys loved your history and remember the Progressive Era and all that? You know, how we came out of the uh, the 1800s basically into the 1900s. It says in practice, its ambiguous language about immorality has resulted in it being used to criminalize even consensual sexual behavior between adults. It was amended by Congress in 78 and again in 86 to apply to transport for the purpose of prostitution or illegal sexual acts. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe they have another iteration coming in 2028 to this Mann Act. So this is absolutely a law, a federal law, bill, whatever you want to call it, that is not going anywhere anytime soon. Anytime soon. There was a couple of cases where we had some people that were prosecuted under the Mann Act. Very, very famous people that were actually prosecuted under the Mann Act. Now, you guys are more than welcome to go and look at the Wikipedia page. Shout out to Wikipedia. Wikipedia is all of us. It's important that if you really care about history, that you see something on there, you edit it and put your stamp on the world. So as you know, this is also called the White Slave Trade Act, right? So according to historian Mark Thomas Connolly, a group of books and pamphlets appeared announcing a startling claim. A pervasive and depraved conspiracy was at large in the land, brutally trapping and seducing American girls into lives of enforced prostitution or white slavery. Isn't it interesting how white, people that used to enslave Black people were now the very ones passing a damn law when their little white girls were being, used as slavery for sex? Yet this was in 1910, yet, Martin Luther King and Malcolm X were 1950s, 1960s. So Black people were still dealing with racism and being treated like, they were less than, whereas white people were passing any kind of law they possibly could, to help their little white children. And I'm just keeping it real. That is what this is. It says these white slave narratives or white slave tracts began to circulate around 1909. Such narratives often portrayed innocent girls victimized by a huge, secret, and powerful conspiracy controlled by foreigners as they were drugged or imprisoned and forced into prostitution. Now, this excerpt from The War on the White Slave Trade was written by a USDA, United States District Attorney in Chicago. It says, one thing should be made very clear to the girl who comes up to the city, and that is that the ordinary ice cream parlor is very likely to be a spider's web for her entanglement. This is perhaps especially true of those ice cream saloons and fruit stores kept by foreigners. Scores of cases are on record where young girls have taken their first steps towards white slavery in places of this character. I just find that history very interesting, right? For a lot of you other history buffs out there that like history as much as I do. There's been a lot of controversy with this law. I'm not even going to lie. There has been a lot of controversy, a lot of cases in which people were prosecuted under this law, and a lot of people felt like that was not right. And there has been instances of people that literally would marry someone and have consensual sex with them and were literally prosecuted under this Mann Act. Seriously. Matter of fact, here's a case here. Let's see. In addition to its stated purpose of preventing human trafficking, the law was used to prosecute unlawful premarital, extramarital, and interracial relationships. I don't know how many of you guys out there are mixed like I am, but I have had a lot of hell being mixed in my life from white people and Black people. And so I can just imagine what this would have been like, especially back in 1912. I mean, do y'all see this? Jack Johnson marries Lucille Cameron in 1912. That don't even look right. That don't even look right, especially for 1912. I remember what it was like in 1970s and 1980s for me and my sister. So this guy, Jack Johnson, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was a boxer, right? Some attribute enactment of the law to the case of world champion heavyweight boxer Jack Johnson. Johnson was known to be intimate with white women, some of whom he met at the fighting venue after his fights. The year the Mann Act of 1912 was enacted, he was prosecuted and later convicted for transporting women across state lines for immoral purposes. As a result of this relationship with a white prostitute named Belle Schreiber, the month prior to the prosecution, Johnson had been charged with violating the Mann Act due to traveling with his white girlfriend, Lucille Cameron, who refused to cooperate with the prosecution and whom he married soon thereafter. So there would be a prime example of this law being used to prosecute interracial couples. And here's a list of other people that have actually been prosecuted under the Mann Act. Look at this. Charles Manson was charged under the Mann Act when he took two prostitutes from California to New Mexico to work. See, the key to this charge is that you don't have to be raped. You can be consensually having sex with someone. But the very essence of crossing a state line and the very essence of the fact that you're doing it because you want to have sex with that person, you can be prosecuted under the Mann Act. I don't know if you guys, Chuck Berry was also sentenced to 3 years in prison under the Mann Act when he had transported a 14-year-old girl across state lines. Yeah, Chuck Berry. Chuck Berry. And you see, there's not many people that have been charged under this act. It is it's a bit of a rare thing. There's a lot of navigation of this law that has to be done anytime you're being charged under the Mann Act. You know, even notable individuals that were even investigated under this act. I mean, look at this. Elliot Spitzer from New York. Remember him? The Emperor's Club, the prostitution ring. Duzan Popov, a World War II Allied double agent with a James Bond type lifestyle, was threatened with arrest under the Mann Act. Even an American Islamic cleric was investigated for violations of the Mann Act, authorities primarily wanting to arrest him for his ties to 9/11 hijackers. But he left the US for Yemen before he could be detained. Even Warren Jeffs and Merrill Jessup, the whole, you know, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We all know they've had like a weird sex cult going on down there in Texas. And it looks like they were even being investigated under the Mann Act as well. It's a very, very interesting law, to say the least. I've even let's see here. There was even a case, it looks like, where if the Mann Act even, let's see, a court decided that a person could be prosecuted under the Mann Act even when married to the woman if the marriage is polygamous. Thus, polygamous marriage was determined to be an immoral purpose. So it's like, you know, this is the type of law that I would be scared to death to be prosecuted under. I would be scared to death to be prosecuted under this, because this isn't really necessarily like you have to even commit a crime, right? If you have, you know, it's almost like a crime or a law that comes after you for a moral choice that you make, right? You're going to go over to, you know, me and my friend are going to go to Oklahoma, and, you know, I'm going to have sex with him. And that's the whole reason we're going there. We're going to a bed and breakfast. We're going to stay the night there. And of course, we're going to have sex. But that sort of thing, you can get wrapped up in this Mann Act. It's a very, very interesting charge. It's very rare. And the fact that they've got count 4 and 5 on Rkelly's ass under this Mann Act, when I tell you guys, this is no longer years we're talking about. We're talking about, at this point, this man is facing decades in prison. As I started this video out and I said, have y'all ever heard the quote, when the Eastern District of New York comes for your ass, They already have all the evidence they need to lock you up. And I believe some of you in the chat even acknowledge that they have like a 95 to 97% conviction rate. That's because they make sure all their evidence is so tight before they even make that arrest. I highly doubt we will see Rkelly out on bond. I really highly doubt that. I think in this situation, feel better, Blue. Much love, baby. And even that chick Chanel acknowledges this. She says the Mann Act was created to arrest people for things that people can seem as immoral. It has a broad brush, exactly. And that's what's kind of scary about the law, honestly. The part about that law is extremely scary because you can make an immoral choice and be prosecuted by the federales, right? So in regards to bond, I don't see it. They're already trying they're already sent a letter to the judge to say, Your Honor, this guy is a flight risk. Your Honor, this guy has a lot of criminal history behind him. Now, is there any convictions? No, not on the sex crimes, but he has been arrested before, and that is enough for federal authorities to use those arrests as evidence / proof that he needs to be held until trial. Trial could be 2 or 3 years away. A lot of you here are saying he doesn't even need bond. The Eastern District is distinctly, Dree says the Eastern District is who also got Tekashi 6ix9ine. I swear, if any federals, if I seen the SWAT team coming in to come and kick my damn door down, if I heard Eastern District or any district of New York versus like, I don't know, a federal charge out of like my state attorney's office, I would be scared as hell. So I can just imagine how he's feeling right now. But I don't feel compassion for him in that way. This man is a predator. And instead of him being taken down and treating himself or doing what he needed to do to fix his issues 20 something years ago, or however long ago, 18, 20 years ago, when he got acquitted on those charges out of Chicago, he instead went and started reliving and redoing all of these horrible things and did not learn from that situation. Most people, after being acquitted of all of the felonies that he was acquitted of, would have walked away from that, probably bought a home in another country somewhere, and not have even dared violate another child. And he did, allegedly, right? He did, allegedly. So why should I give mercy, right? Why should I have mercy on him? He didn't even have mercy on himself. Hey, Mrs. Mead. Reed Blount says he did it. We Chicago people been knowing. I'm in Texas and I've been knowing. I've even talked to a couple ladies who have met Rkelly literally in hotel rooms and stuff. And you know, I don't have any exclusive or anything like this. It's just conversation I've had with a couple girls, and they were young, and they weren't underage, but they were really young, you know, like 18, 19 years old. Think about when you were 18 or 19. Did you have a clue what the hell you were doing with any man, really? So Mrs. Meat says, I knew he was nasty since Aaliyah. Exactly. When he married her, that was like, a what? A lot of people were like caught off guard with that. Like, what is Rkelly doing? And so, hey, Alexis. So I'm going to get to some of your comments here, but there is one video that I want to show you guys really quick before I get to the comments and then end this live. I want to show you really quick of a news clip really quick that I seen on YouTube. It's a lot of people, guys, a lot of people talking about this. But there was one particular clip. Look, everybody's been going live. I kid you not, everybody's been going live to talk about this. Let's see. Give me a second. All right. All right. Here it is right here. CBS. And we all know Gayle King's with CBS, right? All right, here we go. Mm. No sound? Okay. I think one of the things with buying a nice little laptop is sometimes when you get a nice big bulky laptop, the sound isn't all that great. So needless to say, the clip I was going to show you was CBS, right? They're very familiar with Rkelly and get the fact that Gayle King works there, had a woman there who was talking about these charges and the fact that he's now facing decades in prison, decades. Years was something he would have thought about yesterday. Now he's got to think about the fact that he's facing decades in prison. It's highly likely that Rkelly's will not come out of jail after that. Um, I mean, think about it. This dude has had his career stripped away, his means of income, and now his freedom. That was the price that he has paid so far, and it's shocking to say the least to watch this man's downfall. It really is quite shocking. I don't think any of us should revel in that. I don't think any of us should, smile and be happy that someone else is, has been taken out like this. But when you really think about it, dude had an opportunity to fix this all those years ago, and he didn't. He allowed his behavior to get out of control again, whatever you want to call it. And he's a predator. There's no other best way to put that. Dude is a predator and a pedophile, period, end of story. And the scary thing is 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you could have been 15, 16. He could have been targeting you 14, 13 even. And now he's targeting his previous targets' children. So your children that you're raising, 13, 14, 15, that's the type of age Rkelly likes. He doesn't like grown women in their 20s and 30s, okay? He don't. So let's get to some of these comments. Gemini the Queen says, nah, LeakYou. If he did these things, I'm feeling good watching him get locked up. I feel you. I feel you. Alexis Laney says, kudos to the young women who spoke out and stuck to their guns. This is a victory for them. It is a victory for them. Barika says he's going to be begging to be placed in PC, meaning protective custody. Barika, every time I see that term PC, I always think about Pimp C, because he had a song where he talked about another rapper who was doing his time in Texas under protective custody and all this kind of stuff. It just makes me think of UGK. Mrs. Meat says his wife was 18 when he met her. I even question that. I do. I even question that. That whole relationship with his wife is kind of weird anyway. But is it possible that she could be arrested? Because a lot of people bang on Andrea Kelly, a lot of people. And is it possible that she also participated in some of these crimes, these sexual crimes with other women? Was she another participant? I don't care if she's been a victim of domestic violence or any of that. If you have participated in something that you knew was wrong, a sexual crime, you deserve to be arrested too. You knew that wasn't right when you were doing it. Um, Gemini says, y'all silly. He's going to the rich people's prison. Shit. There's a couple of prisons, right, we've heard of some of these prisons where famous people go to, and you know, it really depends. I don't think the days of like the mob having prisons where they could cook their pasta with garlic and sausage and all this stuff. I mean, does that really even exist now? That was they really cracked down on that. So I like some of these comments here. One distinctly Dree. Well, let's start with Barika. Barika says his wife is also a liar, a lying, clout chasing something. Distinctly Dree says, I don't think he will ever be free again. They moved the girls. Wow. I'm interested to know where Jocelyn is and where the other young lady is too. One proud grandma says she knew what was going on in her home. How could she not? She was married to Rkelly for a long time. How could you not? And let's see here. Remainder of Leah says Andrea Kelly is a clout chaser as well. Weird marriage, says Leanne. He kept her hidden too. He did. He really did, right? Let's see here. Much wisdom, Tahia Yael. I know I didn't say that right. They shank in rich people's prison also. Yes, they do. That chick Chanel says if she participated in an act with any underage girls, she can be charged like him. One proud grandma, is it really true that where'd you get that little clip that you put in here where you said that a manager was also being arrested as well? Was that actually coming from a website? Because I'm going to have to research that. Keep your eyes out, guys, for any other arrests in this case. Just based off what One Proud's put in the chat, be mindful about any other possible charges that could come down. We may see other people getting picked up on this case. I think a lot of people feel, you know, like being the fact this dude got away with it the first time. Who helped him get away with these crimes after that, right? And so a lot of people are going to have a problem with the enablers, as it should be. Hold on a second. Okay. Let's see here. Blue says, no one answered my question. If Aaliyah was alive and she came forward, would everyone still think the other girls were lying? I really think that's a great point, Blue. I think that is a fucking great point. Real talk. I don't think so. I think if Aaliyah was alive and she would have came forward, it probably would have helped to cement this even more for people. But the fact that she cannot come and speak on anything for her behalf, it, you know, there you go. Some of you guys say he ruined a lot of girls' lives. Much wisdom says. Okay, One Proud, I'll check my IG box. Let's see here. A lot of you say they wouldn't. Nope, Blue. Absolutely not, Blue. They would believe it then. Top 10 enablers page on IG. That was one of the pages actually I was referring to that is on Instagram, and they're putting a lot of information out there. They have a lot. Have y'all seen the video of Rkelly's bedroom? I was like, dude, hold on. Let me see if I can bring this up. See, Instagram. I think it's just like top 10. You can actually go to their pages. Hold on. Top 10 enablers. I think you can just hit it like that. Let's see. Oh, they went private. Hold on. Let me see if I can log in real quick. God, been a minute. When I tell you, whoever is running that page, they were going after another YouTube blogger a couple weeks ago. I was like, geez, this is crazy. Give me a second. See if I can log in. All right, sweet. Yeah, they're private, so I can't even bring it up right now. I have it under a different account that I will bring it up. when One Proud says they have been on R. Kelly's case. Honestly, I truly believe that I think Angelo Cleary runs that page, or someone in his circle. That chick Chanel says, did anyone ever read the book that was going around by that young lady that was messing with R. Kelly when she was like 15? No, I've not. Unless maybe you're talking about Geronda Pace. You might be talking about Geronda Pace. So to my New Yorkers, as they say, what is Rikers Island like? What is that going to be like for R. Kelly being swooped up in Chicago and being taken to R. Kelly, or to Rikers Island in New York? Like, I've heard a lot of really crazy things about Rikers Island. Yes, Leanne, I seen Neek at Night was reporting about it. She was actually reporting it as soon as it happened last night. I seen her live last night. I didn't get a chance to watch. I seen it live last night. I'm not going to speak on Neek at Night. I have some issues with some of the stuff she does. So, there's a lot of colorism bullshit going on out here. Oh, he's fucked on the daily. Wow. Woo. He will be in solitaire. Rikers is Helen 1000, a hellhole. Wow. Wow. Neek at Night did a lot of reporting on R. Kelly. I have to give her props. And she did suffer through being doxxed, I noticed recently as well. So she's did a lot of reporting on R. Kelly. I think a lot of people, when you look to YouTube bloggers and you look to try to obtain information on a story, she's like one of the first people that come up when you really think about it when it comes to R. Kelly. And so, shout out to her for that. But it is what it is. Okay, he will be in PC where the CEOs will torture him every day. That is horrible. And Rikers Island, Kel's behind will be an open case. Oh my God, Ree, hey Ree. Wow, Lil Wayne was in solitaire. Was he in Rikers Island too? Just about the new charges with the manager. Hey, LeakYou, love your show and honesty. Keep it, honey, from London, UK. What's up, Michelle? Welcome in from London. They're trying to close Rikers. Wow. Rikers is no joke. That prison has broke down gangsters. RICO charges usually have multiple people involved to build federal case against King Ben Kelly. Laverne, thank you so much for that comment, because you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Wayne was in solitaire. Okay, and that chick Chanel, Riker's going to be feeling on his booty. Oh my God. This is my whatever. You know that song I'm talking about. What a legacy. What a legacy that has been trashed. It's like the same people that lift you up, the same people that can come and lift you up, put all this money in your pocket, be the same people that take your ass down. It's very interesting watching how all of this has unfolded. It really is interesting to me. 69 is in Rikers now. Lil Wayne was never the same after Rikers. Wow. The death rate is off the chain in there. I might have to watch a documentary on Rikers. That chick Chanel brings up a really good point. She says, what is sad is he has always had the education of a fifth grader, and they claim he's broke. I think that's messed up too. I think what a story, right? To come out and say, I can't read or write. I've only had the education of a fifth grader, but I have a voice that's heavenly. To watch this legacy go down the drain like this is interesting, to say the least. And so to anybody who does YouTube blogging or blogging of any type, just know that R. Kelly has a lot of supporters out there. And so don't be surprised if you get trolled on your page. And if people, leave comments like that person Cece in the beginning of our live stream. I have seen that a lot whenever I've reported stuff on R. Kelly. I can't imagine what Neek at Night gets. I know she was even doxxed at one point a week or so ago. So it's hell to try to report this story sometimes with R. Kelly, because he does have a lot of supporters, people and women that are willing to go out there and march for this dude. It's like, really? Really? So with that being said, let me just finish up some of these comments, and we'll go ahead and end this live stream. I will be checking out what One Proud Grandma sent me in regards to, hold on. I will be checking out what One Proud Grandma sent me in regards to the enablers possibly getting arrested with this case. So I'll let you guys know. Outside of that, really, I'm glad you guys came on to talk about, you know, how you're feeling about this. I may go live later on tonight to talk more about this case and any other people that have been arrested in this whole situation. Until then, much love to you guys, and I will see y'all next time.